All right, guys, it's Black Spring with Autumn here on your Wednesday. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just kind of doing a bit of a test here. I know the stream is entitled "What's the Big Deal," and I'd like to get into what's the big deal. I'm not sure what's going to be available here, but hope you guys are doing well out there. This is also I'm gonna pull this up. For one, I just want to talk to you about. I entitled it "What's the Big Deal?" because, of course, there's a few things going on. We have sales from your, dare I call it, the big box stores, Walmart, Target, and of course, Amazon Prime. It looks like many of these big box stores have been modeling themselves for a while in terms of even Walmart having memberships, just different things. Of course, Target has a Circle program, and I kind of want to talk about what's the big deal. What's the big deal is kind of it's just it's a title, but it's also a line of question. It's kind of like the beginning of a line of questioning, which we could go in many directions. But in the first direction, I just want to show you. It looks like these sales are just in time for, I guess, what the economists anticipated as the summer slowdown. Okay, so allegedly we were supposed to, somehow brace for the summer slowdown, and this was based on we have something out of the EY Parthenon, the U.S. Economic Outlook for June 2025. Okay, just want to share that with you really quickly. Let's see what we could do here, if that's allowed. All right, we're going to go there. All right, so let's look at this really quickly. Okay, so for this instance, in this regard, we have the U.S. Economic Outlook June 2025. Okay, so of course we are, 9 days out of June, and it is of course July 9th right now. Okay, so let's just look at this really quickly. Okay, so according to this, let's just go ahead and put this little, I don't know if I can put this up here. This is fair use, okay? So this is more of for edification purposes. Let's just want to get this in. I don't know how you guys are doing out there, but it's certainly a sizzler, certainly hot. It's almost like the weather is it's like stiffening, or it's a toxic kind of a heat. It's not just, to me, it's not quite just a heat, but it's definitely scorcher, and it's packing it's a zapper. It's zapping a lot of your. It's an energy zapper. Okay, so of course this is fair use. This allows the limited use of copyrighted material without requiring permission from the rights holders, such as, of course, criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship. And I've said this before. Everyone here is a scholar or a teacher in his or her own right. So let's just look at this really quickly, if you guys don't mind. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. I really do. I hope you are. Let's have a quick look at this. All right. So our liner comes from EY Parthenon. Let's bump this up just a smidge here. Okay, so bracing for a summer slowdown. Okay, U.S. outlook. U.S. economy is poised for a summer slowdown, and its economic activity was artificially boosted early in 2025 as businesses and consumers rushed to front load purchases ahead of anticipated trade restrictions. While the sharp reversal in imports will provide a mechanical lift to the Q2 GDP growth, this earlier pull forward sets the stage for a pronounced demand cliff in the second half of the year. Both consumer spending and investment are expected to decelerate significantly. Okay, and then also, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure. I think these sales that I mentioned before, the Prime sales, the Walmart deals, the Target Circle sales, I think, I think they're trying to pad that, or they're trying to soften the landing a little bit wherever available. Okay, so let's keep going here. So in the months ahead, the ripple effect. So mind you, this was published on the 20th of June 2025. Okay, in the months ahead, the ripple effects of higher tariffs will become more apparent, stoking inflationary pressures, weakening labor market conditions, compressing profit margins, restraining capital expenditures, and curbing household demand. Together, the headwinds are likely to slow the GDP growth to near stall speed, with output rising just 0.8% year over year by the Q4 2025. So that's the projection, okay? That's what they're projecting there. A potential extension of the expiring provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA, could help stave off a deeper fiscal contraction. But any stimulus from quote from the one big beautiful bill end quote is likely to be modest, skewed toward higher income households, and delayed until 2026. At the same time, offsetting spending cuts, particularly to social benefits, would weigh disproportionately on lower income households. The fiscal cost of such a package could also exacerbate debt sustainability concerns, putting upward pressure on interest rates and crowding out private investment. Okay, as we continue, we anticipate real GDP growth will decelerate from 2.8% in 2024 to 1.5% in 2025 and 1.3% in 2026. While the probability of a recession over the next 12 months currently stands at 35%, the risk to the outlook remains skewed to the downside. All right, we continue the next point, the cooling labor demand and supply. The labor market momentum continued to soften in May as trade and immigration policy uncertainty exerted increasing pressure on employment and labor force dynamics. The economy added 139,000 jobs during the month, but a notable decline in labor force participation helped hold the unemployment rate steady at 4.2%. With policy turbulence likely to dissipate in the near term, we expect labor market weakening to become more pronounced in the months ahead. While a broad wave of layoffs remains unlikely, rising cost burdens from newly implemented tariffs are expected to weigh on hiring and wage decisions. Businesses already contending with higher input costs are likely to slow workforce expansion, further reinforcing a subdued job creation environment. We project monthly job gains to slow to an average of just 25,000 in the second half of 2025, down sharply from 105,000 in the first half, and the unemployment rate to drift higher, reaching approximately 4.8% by year end. Okay, so we'll go through the last 3 points here. All right, and I'll talk to you a little bit. I'll bring you a little bit into what I'm on about here. Okay, so to me, we're kind of getting into it because we're already seeing that, things are not quite, people are spending, but, as this has stated, they've already shown us in the June data that, people are curbing some of those household demands, or they're curbing those necessities because, other areas you might have to buy less, you have to buy other things instead of those convenience items. Okay, so our next point, a looming demand slowdown. Retail sales disappointed in May, declining by 0.9% as consumer demand continued to ease following a wave of front-loaded purchases ahead of tariff implementations. While spending has remained relatively resilient, underpinned by solid income gains, early signs of fatigue are becoming increasingly evident. A combination of a cooling labor market and the exhaustion of preemptive buying points to a looming inflection point. As the effects of tariffs filter through the economy, we expect consumer activity to slow in the second half of the year. We forecast real personal consumption expenditures to decelerate from 2.3% in 2024 to just 1.2% in 2025, before staging a modest recovery for 2.0% in 2026. Housing demand is also expected to remain constrained in a low affordability environment. All right, so here, our next one is a tariff supply shock to fuel inflation and reacceleration. Prices remained on a solid disinflationary path ahead of the steep tariff increases. Consumer price inflation once again surprised to the downside in May, driven by moderating shelter costs, lower travel and leisure prices, declining energy prices, and subdued food and core goods inflation. Headline Consumer Price Index (CPI) inflation ticked up slightly to 2.4%. That's year over year, following April's low, which was not seen since February 2021, while the core CPI held steady at the 2.8 year over year, marking its softest reading since March 2021. Looking ahead, however, the inflation landscape is set to shift, with higher tariffs imposed on most major trading partners. We expect a renewed inflation impulse to emerge, with core personal consumption expenditures, that's the PCE, inflation likely rising toward 3.1% by year end. And finally, Fed on pause until September. The Federal Reserve kept the federal funds rate unchanged at 4.25 to 4.50 for a fourth consecutive time at the June policy meeting. The unanimous policy decision, along with the policy statement, the dot plot of median rate expectations, and Chair Jerome Powell's press conference, reinforced the Fed's wait-and-see approach amid a cloudy economic outlook. With Fed policymakers unwilling to preempt the net effect of the administration's trade, tax, immigration, and regulation policy changes on growth and inflation, we continue to anticipate the Fed will wait until September before proceeding with a 25 basis points BPS rate cut. We anticipate another rate cut in December and then further 100 BPS of policy easing in 2026 as economic and labor market conditions deteriorate. Okay, so when he talks about, this was a point that I made to just even friends or family, that maybe if you had big ticket items, that maybe you wanted to pick up those items or maybe purchase those items in advance because we weren't really sure, the trajectory. We weren't sure, was it going to be like some people referring to what we're looking at now as surge pricing. I've seen, we've seen the shrinkflation, where of course you're getting that same burger, but you're paying a lot more for that burger or whatever that item is. You're getting the same item, or in some cases you're getting less of the item for the same price. Okay. And so to me, that kind of makes sense with these actual sales that are going on. And I'm going to be honest, to me, the sales are not very enticing. I've seen things go up, 3 weeks ago until about a few days ago by 45%. And I think some people have talked about price gouging. They think that, some things are going on. But I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys are experiencing in your neck of the woods. Let's see. But are you heading out to any of these sales? Any of you that are engaged in any back to school shopping, or what items are you looking for? Or are you finding that these prices what are you finding appealing about the pricing? Is it much better than 2 days ago, 3 weeks ago? What do you think about the prices? Okay. Like I said, I've been to a couple of sales, but I don't really see that it's really that remarkable. I just think that they're trying to, they're trying to get a soft landing for themselves. I think that's what these big box stores are trying to do. And they're trying to do that ahead of, for back to school shopping. Of course, that's always, to me, the whole idea of the concept of back to school is a holiday for these big box stores anyway. But I guess that maybe they're trying to get an indication of how they're going to fare when it's actually time to deal with that. Stray Godzilla 22, how are you? I'm just dropping this for a second here. I've wanted to talk about some of these sales, and it's funny how, you started out with Amazon Prime, but it's like everyone is like all the competitors, the Walmart, the Targets, they're all coming in. They're trying to get their piece of, of the deals, but they're so. I think to me that the items that I'm seeing, they're really not. There are items that could probably wait. I'm not sure if they're going to see. I think we did see a project. They have some projected. They have some projections for what Americans are going to spend. I saw something of it was over 2 million, maybe over 200 million. They're expecting Americans to spend over $200 million, or maybe even more than that. Maybe it was the billion, but I don't really see it. It just depends on where you are. And I still really see that they're really offering, because I think even Amazon has, their prices have kind of gotten a little bit, they're all kind of teetering on the same, they're in the same ranges. Like the price points are so similar that I'm not sure that if people are going to get that big of a bang, they're going to save that much. I mean, especially some of these items are less desirable. They're not staples. A lot of these items are not really even staples. They're just kind of like, oh, we got to get rid of. Some things I've seen are just not really, that can wait. Or, yeah, it's like, people are gonna prioritize food or gas or whatever they need to survive. I mean, the affordability of a lot of things, they're going to. Of course, in the back to school vein of things, you have communities that have all these drives for school supplies and these kinds of a bit. But then you also have, it makes me think about the one big beautiful bill, and most kids don't bring a lot of school supplies to school anyway. And some of the schools actually are providing. It's become more of a community share. Or some people would say it's probably close to a de facto kind of a socialism kind of a deal, where you've got kids bringing in boxes of Kleenex and sanitizer and soap or Kleenex. But some kids won't bring it. Some kids won't bring anything. And on the other side of that, people have an issue with that. Okay, well, if this is really about affordability, well, okay, I decided to donate to my classes. I decided to donate to their pantry of cleanliness. But yet this kid decided to not bring anything. But that kid probably has 3 different pairs of shoes, hundreds of dollars of pairs of shoes in their backpack. But they didn't contribute 1 box of Kleenex, 1 tub of Clorox wipes. They didn't do any of that. But they're going to expect to use your kids. They're going to expect to use your donations the entire year. But it gets to be frustrating when you kind of look at that, because most kids, I mean, I will tell you, for example, a lot of people aren't buying the store brands. They're not buying national brands. They're not buying the Clorox wipes. They're buying they're buying the Bright Right wipes. They're buying the Bright Right wipes instead of the Clorox wipes. And they're just not. So I don't know. I mean, I guess for many places, the back to school conversation is very real, and it's very near and dear in some cases. So I know some schools on the Eastern Seaboard, they're not going back until, what's like the weekend after Labor Day, because they just got out not too long ago. But then, some parts of the country, the Southeast, they're going to go back much sooner than that. And they don't have a lot of time to, people are still doing whatever they do in the summertime. And there's lots of programs. I think a lot of programs are out there. A lot of the resources are wasted because they're not being used. I did see some people online saying, "Oh, I just got my kids. I'm going to be able to eat really well this summer. I just got these summer food stamps just for my kids." And I remember reading about a program in Alabama. It was called Sunbucks or something like that, where each child was going to be eligible for $120. But see, to me, dare I say, I'm going to use the wrong term here. Those Sunbucks they're supposed to be I can't say earmarked. They're supposed to be kind of earmarked for fruits and vegetables, but I seriously doubt that they're going to be that they're going to get they're going to say, okay, well, you can't get this item. I mean, maybe it will. I don't know what the I don't know. I don't know the allotment. I don't know the distribution, but I saw that because I mean, I do a lot of, I'm around the farmers market a lot, and I see, most of these kids are not eating fruits and vegetables. Better yet, nobody's preparing. Many of these kids are living in homes in which vegetables are not being prepared. That's not a part of their regular menu, their regular eating, their diet. So when you say, oh, they're going to get 120 bucks per kid, I don't know if all summer for fruits and vegetables, I mean, is it going to get, are they going to just kind of get played around with and wasted or not? Let's see. Let's just read it a little bit. The Alabama Sunbucks program. So, okay, the Alabama Sunbucks program. Let's just chatty do it. Let's see. Let's read a couple comments here. He says, Stray Godzilla 22 says, great movie out of Cali. Are you still there? I'm sorry. I'm going to get up to speed. But yeah. So let's just look at this program really quickly. But you don't have any. We don't have big sales. You notice that we don't have sales on. We don't have a prime. We don't have a grocery Prime Day or a fruits and vegetable Prime Day, big deals day. We don't have that, right? But we do have. You can get other things. But let's just switch over here for a second. Hope you guys doing well out there. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Let's open this up, shall we? Stray Godzilla 22 says education has terrible leadership all across the nation. Without it, well, that it is what it is. Yeah, of course, I would agree. But there's so many. It's so top heavy that even the top is, you got a boss for your McBoss. It's just there's a lot going on there. Okay, so let's have a look. We're going to look at a link for the Sunbucks. Okay, so it's the Alabama has a Sunbucks program. This is eligible school children. Let me see if I can show this for you guys. And most kids don't know this, but I guess if you go to the farmer's market, or if you're one of these people that tries to some people actually try to feed their kids decent meals. Okay, so let's look at Sunbucks really quickly. I'm not sure if that's where the general, if it's nationwide or if it's just this is a state program. Okay, here we go. So it says Alabama Sunbucks is a summer nutrition program for school age kids. Check your eligibility, or log into Sunbucks portal. Okay, so apparently. Let's read them. Eligible school age children will receive a one-time, so it's a one-time, I stand corrected, a one-time payment of $120 per child in grocery benefits during the summer through the Alabama Sunbucks program. Sunbucks benefits are in the form of a pre-loaded card with a one-time $120 benefit for the summer that families can use to purchase groceries. Now, see, to me, it's already sounding like it's getting a little less sunny and a little bit boxed. You know what I mean? When you say sunny, I'm thinking that you really are referring to fruits and vegetables. But if you say to purchase groceries, all right, these benefits can provide the nourishment your children need during the summer break. Watch the video below to learn more. Okay, so I guess I don't know if you guys if you're up to watching this video. After watching this video, but I read about it a while back, and I was thinking, well, they're going to get that all summer, or they're going to get it the whole summer, but this is a one-time deal. So I seriously doubt that 120. How many people are going to buy? Dare I say, collard greens, carrots, potatoes, I mean, who's at home with a lot of these kids' parents are not home with them to make sure that they eat an apple or a slice of a pear or tangerines. I mean, who's going to buy $120 worth of fruits and vegetables? I mean, maybe canned goods, okay, but the frozen kind of stuff, I don't know. Let's see. Let's just for kicks. Let's see what the video is. Let's see if maybe we can watch it. Let's see.
Introducing Alabama Sunbucks, a new food benefit program that provides lower-income families with a one-time payment of $120 for each eligible school-age child in their home. Alabama Sunbucks can be used to purchase foods such as fruits, vegetables, and meat at grocery stores and other places that accept SNAP and TANF EBT benefits. Who is eligible for Alabama Sunbucks? You are eligible if your family participates in SNAP, TANF, or Medicaid through the School Demonstration Project, or if your child receives free or reduced price meals at school. You do not need to apply, as you will be automatically enrolled in the program. So, who needs to apply? If you 2025, but did not apply for free or price meals at the school, or if you attended a CEP school and did not complete a free or reduced price meal application, private or virtual school that participated in the National School Lunch or Breakfast Program, or if you did not participate in the National School Lunch or Breakfast Program, but have children of school compulsory age, 6 to 17, and receives SNAP and TANF EBT benefits, or your family does not receive SNAP or TANF, you will need to apply. To apply for Alabama Sunbucks, scan the QR code or visit alabama-sunbucks.com. How will you receive the benefits? A new Alabama Sunbucks card will be mailed to the address on file with your school. If you have moved to a new house, please update your address within the parent portal or contact Alabama Sunbucks call center at 1-800-443-3536. Alabama Sunbucks, nourishing young minds and bodies.
Okay, so there you have it. You know, if you eligible for that program or whatnot. So that's what they were offering. Okay. So and not only that, you know, they do have, I think they still have the program that's called the free lunch program. And the free lunch program, I think in that they do that Monday through Fridays. So honestly, and here reasonably here. It's not there, you know, it's not unusual for parents, kids parents to have to work, but the nutrition, I remember, you know, some kids just kind of walk the streets all day, going if they live near a convenience store, if they have access to some type of currency or some type of card, then they might be buying hot Takis. You know, I would strongly suggest you not buy it. Let them walk the streets all day and eat hot Takis and drink juicy juice or whatever. You know, I wouldn't do it. But it tends to be if you spend time with your grandparents, well, your grandparents are, you know, your grandparents are going to certainly want to cash in on those Sunbucks because, you know, I think grandparents are still more likely to cook. And I think because of the way things are, because of the price points and I call it the price surging and just affordability. You know, you get a hand, like there's all over social media, people showing you get a little bundle. You can get maybe a few things in your hand and you might be out of 25, 30, 40 bucks. But the elderly, they know the value of actually cooking that cabbage or maybe making that stew, that stewed beef with those carrots and potatoes around it, because they know that you can eat that off of that meal for several days. I mean, I think summertime's a great time for kids spend time with their grandparents. They eat better. I'm just saying, Sunbucks or not, you're going to eat better if you're around your grandparents. They're going to make that meal, and like squash and, you know, there's a lot of great If you can get to the farmer's market. Now that's the thing. I don't know if the farmer's market had any way. I don't believe the farmer's markets had any way of accepting those, but it's probably better. Your kids eat better if you're working and the kids have to be at home or they have to be with somebody, the grandparents are probably going to give them the best meals. Just saying, because they're going to cook. I don't know if you guys out there, if you remember eating fried liver and onions, or those lima beans, or that okra, that fresh okra, and that smoked meat, and some vegetables that you got from we these get the curb market, or those ears of corn that we found, or either that fried corn. I mean, we know, it's I was lucky enough, I'm very familiar with that. I'm familiar with that on my mom, from my mother, as well as my grandparents. I am. So Sunbucks would be a great, you'd have a great time. Fire up the grill. Put your Sunbucks put your bucks where your mouth, I don't know, put those ears of corn on the grill, or maybe put that, maybe marinate that chicken and put it on the grill. I mean, I don't know, but I guess I would hope that the kids that need it, the kids that get some decent meals, there's really no excuse. But some kids won't get it. That's the down part of it. Some of these parents will abuse these bucks, and the kids won't know whether they got bucks or not. Okay. They'll be lucky if they get a few hot meals all summer. So just out there, I don't know, there might be some other programs, some other states that are doing something similar. I don't know. But I would just say, that's an interesting program that they have. It would be nice if they had something for our seniors, for retirees. They deserve to eat a little better too, I think. But the way that our food supply is, farmers markets are, kind of a good choice. They're best, to me. They're the best choice for fruits and vegetables, because most of those fruits and vegetables came out of somebody's backyard or off of somebody's property. I personally am a big fan. You guys have seen on this show, I'm a big fan of brown eggs. I love to cook. I love to make baking with brown eggs. You can make some cornbread. You pull out those brown eggs. I notice that there's a battle sometimes with farmers markets. You don't really have to, some of those eggs can last up to 6 months without being refrigerated, until the state gets involved and says, hey, you got to put these eggs on cold, put them on ice. And, but you can keep them a lot longer if they are, if you don't put them in the refrigerator. And I always enjoy going to the farm, because story time is always good there. And the product is, the tomatoes actually taste like tomatoes. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. So I titled this, "What's the Big Deal?" And that came from, hi, John Roberts. John Roberts says, buy local as much as possible, grow a garden and can get to know a farmer. Well, and I think I was able to get, say for instance, I was able to get a dozen of brown eggs, country brown eggs, for $3. And then I was able to get 18 eggs, like 18 eggs. 18 eggs. I was able to get that for $5. And I really appreciate, I enjoy my farmer's market fresh food. And I don't know a butcher is what I don't know. But I think there's like Yarborough up north a little bit, where you can get chicken. I think they raise their own chickens and poultry there. So that might be an option. So, this started out, we're talking about the economy. We were talking about how America was to anticipate a actual slowdown in economy. Okay. The summer slowdown is what it's referred to. So I think this is why I think these sales, these big Prime Day sales, Walmart sales, the Target Circle deals, they are, they realize that people are going to, on the once the first time that word tariff came out. I mean, I've heard people talking about tariffs that have never. The only time that some of these people have taken interest in anything, whether it be economics, whether it be dealing with imports, exports, is when you talk about TRUMP. They've never shown any interest in any of those, any of that education until now. No. So, I mean, but then some people didn't do anything about it. Some people did not front load. They did not front load purchases. They did not. If you're a Shein shopper or, whatever you do, some of those same people still didn't. They just, it's a weapon. It's not a tool. They use whatever comes out of the media as a weapon. And it's not really, but it's not a tool, a weapon of fear and anticipation, anxiety. So it doesn't serve them. Whatever the hell they're getting from the media is not helping them. It's not serving them. Okay, that's what I'm on about there. Okay, they're not heeding the word in order to prepare, so that they don't have to get ready. They are using it to stoke their own fear and anxieties and, just kind of feed the, help the propaganda machines, but they're not using it to their advantage. So let's say John Roberts, I appreciate your comment there, as well as Stray Godzilla 2022, not 2022. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for spending the whopping 37 minutes and 4 seconds with me on here. So if you've run into a big deal, or if you think you have some tips on how to save, whether it's on big ticket items, smaller items, or we're in the 7th month of 2025. You think about that. We are more than halfway done with 2025. So if you have tips on saving, I mean, I would suggest when we talk about foods or items, you probably buy less junk. If you can, like less convenience food, like instead of buying minute rice, just cook the rice. Just buy a bag of rice and cook the rice. I mean, seriously, if you can cook, spend the extra time, spend the extra 10 minutes or so, and just cook the rice, or the 15, 20 minutes. Just cook the rice or cook those beans rather than buying those convenience foods. So whatever you guys have, leave that in the comment section. If you find any big deals, or if you have anything to contribute to what's the big deal, let me know. And thanks so much for Stray Godzilla 22, as well as John Roberts. Let us know how you are, dare I say, cutting cost, or how you are preserving things, because I'm going to make something like a fire. I think somebody was supposed to share a recipe with me. I think it's called Fire and Ice Tomatoes. It's a dear friend of mine. I mean, and he and his mother are doing a lot of canning. So there's it's kind of like some type of brine, or some type of, you use vinegar and something else to create this, but it's not the full on canning process on that particular recipe. But if you guys have any canning recipes that you want to share, feel free to do that, and let us know what you find in the big deals out there. All right, guys, I will see you later.